Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Tonight it is Old Home Week. We've got Johnny Litecoin joining us. Nana was here a second ago, but she said no, she's not going to be on camera again today. She's been out working on the homestead, saving irises and rescuing chickens, or maybe that was the other way around. I don't know. But you can check that out on our Mighty Merchants channel. We had a really fun time today. And we'll be right back with Johnny Litecoin right after this. Hey, Johnny, great to see you.
Hey, Lisa, how's it going?
Good. We are staying busy. We've got tons of storms around us. At any moment, we keep thinking it's going to start raining again. I know you guys, there's been a lot of news about fires in Jersey. I guess they're not in your area necessarily, but
it's been beautiful in my area, but there's fires down like in South Jersey right now.
Okay. So lots of prayers to everybody in Jersey. I hope everybody's safe, and lots of strange things going on there. So
a lot of strange things going on.
The whole wide world. You had a really great tweet today, and
what inspired it was In-N-Out Burger tweeted and said, what cryptocurrency should they accept for payments? And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, it really shouldn't be like a question for people. They should just think what Litecoin payments. There's other cryptos. If you think of something, you can maybe say, okay, it's that crypto or it's this crypto. But for payments, Litecoin is the so I had to do a video to express my thoughts about it.
That's really great. I just saw a tweet about In-N-Out like a day or two ago, and they were talking about how they're like a Christian company. I didn't realize this, but on like their cups on the bottom, they have like Isaiah something on their cups, printed on their cups.
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
I didn't know that. So,
very nice. I don't, it's not on the East Coast, In-N-Out Burger.
Oh, okay.
We don't have it out here. So I've been to it when I've been like on the West Coast, but that's
yeah,
about
it's
it.
California, Texas thing.
I wonder if it's in Florida. I don't even think it's in Florida, to be honest with you.
I
think it's more of like a California thing.
Yeah, I know I've gone to it when I go to Texas. You know, we'll go run through an In-N-Out. And I've been to them on the West Coast before, but
I love a good burger. I eat a lot of burgers. I eat them I use a gluten-free bun because I try to eat gluten-free. Or if they don't offer a gluten-free bun, I just say, give it to me on a plate. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I load it up. Bacon, cheddar cheese, jalapenos, like lettuce, tomatoes. I go to town.
In-N-Out, they do like what's called monster style, where it's like, I think it has like cheese and stuff and some kind of sauce or something on the fries and maybe on the burger too. I can't remember, but that's like a thing.
I've been not eating sauce, which kills me. This really kills me, but because sauce contains a lot of seed oils.
Oh.
So I've been holding the sauce, but I'm still enjoying the burgers that I eat. But when I guess ketchup I use because ketchup doesn't have seed oils in it.
Papa would get on to ketchup is so bad. It has so much sugar.
It does, but for me, I'm not worried about sugar, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So for me, I feel better eating sugar. But for certain people, obviously, that have to watch their sugar, I understand. But you can actually buy, there is ketchup, the same brand, like Heinz or whatever, the 57 varieties, the popular brand, that they do make a healthier version that has cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup.
Interesting.
I do buy that brand for my my own personal use.
Well, I just found out that like Charlie, we've been reading lots of labels. I say we, the royal we, my husband. He does most of the shopping, but he was like trying to buy mayo, and he was like, "Do you realize like every mayo has soybean
Soybean oil. Oh,
oil
forget
in it?"
mayo. I haven't had mayo in 2 years, at least 3
Yeah.
years.
So I guess there's one that has olive oil.
Avocado oil, I think some have
Was it
too. Yeah.
avocado oil? Okay,
You,
Mom was telling us about it, and
you
so
got to be careful with the olive oil one because they still do use some seed oils in some of them I've seen. But I've bought one with avocado oil that only had avocado oil because the kids wanted me to make them spicy mayo. I make these ahi tuna bowls, like raw tuna, like sushi style over rice. So they like if I make a spicy mayo. So I bought this mayo that's with avocado oil to use.
interesting. Yeah, we've just been trying to like um do like one ingredient foods as much as we can.
Yes,
I'm trying to, eat healthy.
that's a much better way to eat than
So,
if you eat something that has 50 ingredients, it's
yeah,
probably not the best thing.
probably
No.
not good for you.
And I feel like that's why we have a lot of food allergies because it's like if you're eating single ingredient foods or foods with a few ingredients, you're a lot more likely to have food allergies to 50 ingredients than you are 4 ingredients. There's going to be something out of those 50. The odds are statistically you're going to have an issue with something.
That's a great point. Yeah, great point. Well, let's jump into this, and then I want you to kind of break this down for us and talk to us about
Cool.
what we think. So thanks, big shout out to In-N-Out Burger, and that they are kind of on the cutting edge. They're thinking about payments using cryptocurrency and bringing down their cost, not only to themselves, but their consumers, and also no chargebacks, right?
Yeah,
Hey,
no
what's up, guys?
chargebacks.
Johnny Litecoin here. How's it going today? All right, guys, I've been seeing a lot of tweets about crypto payments recently. In-N-Out Burger did a tweet tonight about what cryptocurrency should they accept for payments. Guys, this isn't up for debate. It's not even up for discussion. Litecoin is clearly the best coin for small payments, for sure, for retail payments. Guys, the key to crypto payments, there's a few things. One, the blockchain has to work. Litecoin's never failed in 13 plus years. It can never fail. It has to work. That's key. Has to have great liquidity. That's also very important. The crypto's not liquid, doesn't have a great real world use. Has to have good wallet support. A lot of wallets have to have support for the crypto. Very important. Has to be cheap to send. That's important. You don't want to be sending payments and you're spending multiple dollars on a transaction. That doesn't work. Guys, there's a lot of cryptos that can work for payments, but Litecoin checks all the boxes. No other coin checks every box like Litecoin. Other coins do other things efficiently. That's great. But when it comes to payments, Litecoin is the coin. Guys, BitPay has the most transactions by far on the Litecoin network. Why do you think that is? BitPay is the crypto payments processor for all the big businesses that accept crypto. That's real world stuff. And Litecoin has twice the amount of transactions as Bitcoin or as Ethereum, right? So guys, Litecoin is clearly the best coin for payments. This isn't a debate. It's not up for discussion. It's a fact. Peace, you guys.
That is a great point. And if I was looking at that objectively, I would be thinking like, if I'm a user, I'm going to spend what's going to cost me the least. What can I use that's going to cost me the least to get what I need? Well, the fees are probably the lowest, if I had to guess, using Litecoin.
Well, and the important thing is it's under a penny. So there could be a crypto out there that people say is cheaper to send, but it's like, well, Litecoin's already less than a penny. So when the user looks in their wallet, it's the same thing to them. They see 0 cents and 0 cents. So if you're like, no, mine's cheaper, they're not you got to think what are regular people using? And then, so I did the video, and then I was like, you know what? People are going to say, well, stable coin's better. Litecoin's too volatile. Show some type of chart that shows me what they'll say, how Litecoin was up at one point. Now it's down. I'm an idiot for saying this or whatever. So that's why I put in the thing about the stable coins, because I was like, you could just build a stable coin on Litecoin. Hell, you could run it through MWeb. A lot of senators and stuff that were into crypto mentioned this, that for they said the reason why a CBDC wouldn't work and might be more like a stable coin or whatever, it would need privacy attached to it. There is the good guys or people on our side have said that it needs some type of fungibility or privacy. So something like MWeb would give that ability.
Okay. So then you could so then we, the people, could choose to operate in with privacy using MWeb, but also having the option of a stable coin issued by the government?
No.
So tell me how that would work. How is this coin created? Who's issuing this stable coin?
Anyone.
So
Anyone.
a bank, a business is issuing the stable coin. A state is issuing the stable coin.
Yep, and the ones with the most liquidity will get the most use and the most reliability, most time. So right now you got Tether, which, like it or not, we could argue all day, are the people behind it bad? It gets a lot of use. It's got a huge market cap.
Mm-hmm.
Other countries already, they know about it. You have US dollar coin. That's a popular one, right? But those are just two. And those networks are also how much transactions can they handle, right? So there's a lot of things like that to think of. So if a bank offered a stable coin or another entity offered a stable coin, say a state offered like almost like what we talked about before, if a state offered a repository for gold and silver, say they wanted to offer their own. I guess in theory, they could do that. I would think more it'd be banks, maybe a decentralized option. Who knows? Like, you know what? You got to see the solutions that were created for acceptance, but those would be who I would think rather than the government. I couldn't see them creating a stable coin because they create right now Fed notes. Now, if you went to another system, say there was a treasury dollar, then we would see how that would work as far as would then they release their own stable coin. That wouldn't be a CBDC. They said no CBDC. That means central bank digital currency. If the treasury issued a currency, it wouldn't be a CBDC.
Okay, so that could work hand in hand. So we're seeing this news coming out of Florida where they are making a bill. Is it a bill? The House of Representatives just passed their HB 999, which designates gold and silver as legal tender in Florida. It aligns with constitutional principles and specifies that gold coin and silver coin are legal tender for specified purposes, and prohibits persons from being required to offer or accept any legal tender for specified purposes, blah, blah, blah. It goes into all the rest of it. So in a situation like that, then you're saying that would not create the CBDC, but they could have their state treasury create a stable coin that is based on this gold and silver legal tender. If they had gold and silver to back it up in their treasury,
they could do that, or they could just do they wouldn't need a coin. They could, in theory, maybe they'd use a coin in some way. They could just do a Visa card attached to gold and silver in a repository. But a stable coin that was $1 whatever that dollar may be. For now, we'll just say it's a Fed note, right? So if a bank wants to issue their own stable coin, it would be a representation of a Fed note, but the bank would issue it.
A state treasury note.
Oh, not if it was a Federal Reserve member bank. If Wells or big banks issued it, then there wouldn't be a state. But again, these are different scenarios that are going to play out.
Okay. Yeah.
Totally different. The stable coin itself is more whatever the recognizable dollar would be at that time.
Okay.
That is up for discussion. But that's what the stable coin would be. And right now, the recognizable dollar is a Fed note.
Fed note still.
So that's why but the key thing is the trust, the reliability factor. What blockchain do you put that stable coin on? What network do you put it on? If it gets really, really high use, would it have to go onto some type of second layer network, like a Lightning network or something like that, which we obviously know Light works much better on Litecoin. How I could see this playing out is that there's stable coins that are issued on these different blockchains, but the majority of the payments over the counter would be through some type of Visa card or MasterCard or something like that. And the stable coin would be in a wallet that's connected to that Visa or that MasterCard. Then the key is, could that be done without a bank? I think under the current system, that's where the banks would issue their own stable coin, because then when a credit card payment's made, the issuing bank talks to the acquiring bank. And that's how the Visa network works. But as far as the currency that floats around, it would be a stable coin instead of a paper Fed note.
Instead of a Fed note.
But it would coincide with that paper Fed note system until they got rid of these paper Fed notes. And Lisa, just like I was talking to you about before the show about the $500 bill, the $1,000 bill, and how those were stopped being printed in 1945 and were ordered to be destroyed by 1969. Now the only ones that float around are really by collectors, even though they still remain legal tender on the books. They've essentially gotten rid of them. That's probably what they would do with the Fed note. What I could see is they would, because there's so many of these floating around. So
because it really is a ledger system, and it's a messaging. Hey, I owe you this many. And yeah, it's from Bill, Bob, Jimbo, and James, but I'm going to send you 500 of them as a bulk. But I know who it was internally. You don't care who my people are. I'm going to send you this many. You know what I mean? Like they don't care about the internal, the little bitty peoples, right? They're going to send the big pieces to each other and settle it out later internally, right?
Yeah.
Because it's just messaging systems. It's not about any kind of true value.
And I would see that's how they pulled the cash out of the system on us. They could say at some point, the government, all Fed notes, all Federal Reserve notes are ordered to be destroyed, because when those $500 and $1,000 notes were ordered to be destroyed, it wasn't the Fed destroying them. It was ordered to be destroyed by the Treasury.
Oh.
So if that's the case, they could say these Fed notes will remain legal tender, but when they're received, they're ordered to be destroyed. And then they're legal tender, but they just become fewer and fewer and fewer floating around in the system until eventually businesses are like, hey, we're all digital right now. We don't have enough change. It's not worth it for us to take these Fed notes. And that's how they would they wouldn't have to ever say there's no more cash. They would do it that way. From what I've learned about these higher denomination notes that used to exist and they pulled them away from us, that's how they would probably do it going
So
forward.
they do that with Fed notes now. They could leave them out in the wild and then just say they are no longer legal tender.
No, they would be legal tender.
They are still legal tender. Okay.
Yes.
They would continue to be legal tender, but okay.
Even like those $500 notes I was talking to you about,
Okay.
those
They're
are still legal tender.
legal
Even though if you're a collector and you get one and you just say, hey, I'm just going to go turn into the bank, they have to honor $500. It's legal tender. If you went to a business with one, they would call the cops and say you had counterfeit money. Then the cops would probably come arrest you and thinking they made this big case. Then you'd make them look stupid and explain to them, no, this is legal tender. Like, get away from me. You probably end up making money from the situation. So that might be a good experiment to try. Go get your hands on a $500 note. Try to spend it out of business. Let them call the cops on you. Have the cops might come beat you up. Have it filmed.
Yeah.
Take a quick beating by the cops. They think they're making this big case.
That's
Sue, get a lot of money, make them look stupid. Buy yourself silver and Litecoin, and then you win.
That's interesting. So the term legal tender, it means that that's being enforced, that they have to take it as quote legal tender.
Yeah, sure. And there's been multiple currencies that floated around, like even in the 30s, 40s, 50s, even up into the 60s, silver certificates floated around. They were actually very popular. They were actually like $1 silver certificates, or they floated around in conjunction with side by side with Fed notes. They were both equal to $1. Only difference was the silver certificate was redeemable in $1 in silver coin upon demand, and the Fed note wasn't.
Okay, so then did silver certificates continue to be legal tender but lose their silver redeemability at some point?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yes, and that's what they did. Exactly.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
So we've already had that happen with Fed notes. They have pulled the value out of them, and now that's all they are is legal tender. At this
And they took away the big ones on us. They got rid. Now we're down to, if anything, if they used to have a $500 and $1,000 bill, those would be way more important now with all this inflation we had.
Well, and during COVID and stuff, I noticed a lot of businesses would say, we won't take $100 bills. And
because they're not usable, because they're not as, you know what I mean? People might have been, it's hard with giving the change out. If you don't have as ready access to change, you say, forget, we don't want hundreds. It's too hard to break them. You know what I mean? Unless the bill's over $100, I guess. If you're spending $150, and if I was the business, okay, you can give us 100, but we're not breaking change for 100. If you want to put that towards your total. But if you're coming in and spending $11 and you're paying with a $100 bill, we're not going to give you back $89 cash.
Wow. So taking out the big bills, this kind of flips it on its head for me, because as the dollar's devaluing, I'm thinking we're going to need those bigger bills.
They'll just take them away from us and then force you into these Now, the question is, how does this stable coin system roll out? Are they going to force us into ones that are, because they could say, yeah, it's a free market, it's a free system, anybody could issue it. But then the banks could make it where they block out any other stable coins from being used. And then those could be ones that they're tracking you with. I wouldn't trust these banks with issuing these. That's what I would fear, because what I've seen Operation Choke Point 1.0 and 2.0 hasn't went away because of the banks. Even though the government said, hey, it's done, banks still said, no, we're enforcing Choke Point.
Mm-hmm.
Business as usual with that. So I wonder how it would roll out. Now, I know, obviously, it'd be in the benefit of we the people to have these stable coins that were through a privacy layer, so we had fungibility, but would they want that?
Well, and that's where I wanted to share this next little bit that kind of rolls into this next little bit of news, because I thought, well, maybe this is good news and things are changing. This said that the Federal Reserve withdraws crypto guidance for banks. The Federal Reserve just rescinded its 2022 and 23 guidance that requires banks to notify or get approval before engaging in crypto or stablecoin activities. And so I thought, oh, that sounds great. That means they're getting out of the boss go around business.
Now, maybe that could be really good news, Lisa. Let me explain why. Because when they ended Choke Point before, that was just the government saying that. They don't have any authority over the banks. The government, what they say, the president, they don't have any authority over these banks. They're Federal Reserve member banks. Federal Reserve is as Federal Express, and they control the money. So what would make us think, oh, the government, these people, they have control over the banks? They have zero power. But what we were saying before, Lisa, they could make them obsolete. If they backed the dollar by gold and issued that through the Treasury, they could reprice gold to any value they deem necessary to back the dollar. The Fed would be done, and they would be bye-bye. And just by now, they wouldn't have to fire they can't fire anybody. They can't get rid of them. It would just make them obsolete. It's kind of like what I talked about with KYC. Let's make it obsolete. Then we're not breaking any rules if you don't want to follow KYC. It's obsolete. The rules don't apply. Those rules no longer apply.
Well, we're coming up on some really exciting times. End of this month, going into May Day, coming up on the strategic reserve being created. The plan for that is to be presented to the president by May 3rd for the strategic reserve assets plan. And that's to be on his desk no later than May 3rd. So we'll see. I'm
excited about, look, I've came to, here's the thing. People say, oh, Bitcoin's corrupted. Look, I've came to respect it as a thing that it's not for we the people, but if it's this store of value, and it could be something that governments settle up in, and they have to have some accountability on the Bitcoin with the Bitcoin blockchain, and it's the most secure and can survive a financial nuclear attack. I see that as a good thing for we the people. And then let us do what we have to do with these other blockchains.
Right.
And that to me would be but we can't look at Bitcoin to be these other things. We almost have to make these Bitcoin maximalists ignore them completely, because they're not talking about what we're talking about. They're providing misinformation, and they're a distraction away from what Bitcoin really is.
Well, and there's not just, everything is not a nail. Everything doesn't need a hammer. There's many problems in this world, and we need lots of tools. There's lots of problems to fix. And so I think there are, and lots of innovators out there, hopefully, and lots of people in the future that are looking at, what things, if you're a builder, don't think that every problem has been solved. Think about there's more things to build and dream up, and we have a bright future ahead. So I think this is just the beginning. So, we're climbing out of the dark past, and it's not just about fixing or correcting the past. It's about building a bright future together. So
I mean, even talking about silver, Litecoin, MWeb, these stable coins, this is decentralized stuff. It's the opportunity. It's up to us. The opportunities are endless with it. To say everything's been built, nothing's been built except for these tools. If there's going to be a new system, everything new has to be built. So that's what we have to keep in mind, that I think you're right. It's good to learn from history, but we have to be ready to build the future too.
Absolutely. It's bright, and it starts with all of you. So,
yes.
Johnny, thanks so much for joining me. We will catch you guys next time. And of course, we'll be here tomorrow for happy hour with my buddy Westwood. Johnny, keep that beard strong, man. Everybody loves it.
Thanks. I will. Thanks, Lisa.
All right. See you guys
bye.
next time. Bye.